Hello, this is Heather at Northwest Yarns in Bellingham, Washington, and today I'm going to show you how to do a wrap and turn short row. So I've already done one wrap and turn here, this little blue stitch, and so now I'm going to wrap and turn this pink stitch. So I'm going to bring my yarn to the front of the work. I'm going to slip this stitch knitwise, and then bring my yarn to the back of the work. Now I'm going to slip tip to tip. So now you can see that the yellow yarn is kind of wrapped around the pink. So that's the wrap. Here is the turn. You're just completely turning your work around. So now we're going to purl to the next bit. Okay, so now I am at the place where I'm going to do the purl, and you can see the little gap here. There's where I've done my previous row of my wrap and turn. So this time the yarn starts in the front because we're purling, so we're going to bring the yarn to the back. Now we're going to slip this stitch tip to tip or purlwise, bring the yarn to the front, slip the yarn back onto the left needle tip to tip, and turn. So now you can see there is the wrap for this next stitch. So that is the first bit, and then you're just going to knit across. So again, you can kind of see there's a gap there and a gap there. So this is where your wrapped stitch is. You can see there's the little pink wrap. So the next stitch, usually I'm doing, they'll say 2 stitches before the wrap stitch. So that is going to be this stitch. This is usually the instructions for turning a heel if you're doing a short row heel. Okay, so this is my stitch I'm going to wrap and turn. So I'm going to bring my yarn to the front, slip that knitwise to change its direction, put the yarn to the back, needle back onto the left-hand needle, turn, purl to the next spot, there's my gap, so this is the one I want to turn. So there's the one, there's my gap. So this time I'm bringing my yarn to the back, slipping tip to tip, yarn to the front, slipping it back, flip. Now here's the next step in this. This is when you've finished doing all your short rows and you're going to work your stitches. Now, if I were just to knit across this, I would probably end up with a bit of a gap, and you would be able to see this little turn stitch. So we're trying to avoid that. So I'm going to grab the wrap, which is down here, so I'm grabbing it in the front. I'm going to lift it over the stitch on the needle so it's in the back. So now you can't see it. And I'm going to knit it. So now I should only see the yellow stitch. This yarn is way too small for these needles because I wanted you to be able to see it. So it'll disappear when you're using the correct needles for your yarn. Okay, so here's the next little wrap. I'm going to lift that over, all the way over the stitch. So all I see is my dark pink stitch. And I am knitting through the backs of these stitches. So I'm basically knitting how it's oriented on the needle. I don't want to twist that because I want that pink stitch to be the one in the front. And here's my next wrapped stitch. There's my pink wrap. I'm going to lift him over the blue. And now I'm going to knit to the end. I'm going to pause and we'll show you how to do it on the purl side. Okay, so I'm at my wrapped stitch on my purl side. This time I'm going to sort of turn my work so I can see the right side or the back of my current work. And I'm going to grab that wrap, flip it over the stitch on the needle, and then I'm going to purl it kind of like normal. Here's my next one. See, there's my wrap. I'm going to grab him, lift him over the stitch on the needle, and then I'm going to purl. Let's try that one more time. See if I can do it a little less awkwardly. Okay, here's my wrapped stitch, the yellow. Grab him. Gonna lift him over the pink stitch, and I'm going to purl. So if I've done this all correctly, when I flip this over, so you've got a kind of a little heel shape in there, and all of my stitches should be hidden. So you shouldn't be able to see where I did those wrap and turns, and there is no gaps. So that is how you do wrap and turns for short rows. Thank you and happy knitting.